Hey, welcome to another episode of Team USA, working our way to the World Championships about 3 weeks out. And I thought just for myself, my selfish self, but also maybe a benefit to all of you is to have Fernando Lopez as a guest. Fernando, welcome to my Team USA series.
Hi, Ed. Thank you so much for inviting me again, and looking forward to talk about Team USA. As you know, I've been in I think six Team USA World Championships at this point, so looking forward to give you some thoughts.
Yeah, I have some specific questions about you that or for you that really translate into the professional workplace as well. And before we get there, just for our audience, I go in depth with Fernando on sort of the integrated or balanced life on episode 49 of EDTalks. So if you have not seen that, you need to pick it up. It's super, super interesting because a lot of times we say, well, we're executives, and Fernando's an executive. He's chief revenue officer for a company. It's like, how do you fit it all in and family? And so we talk a lot about that and give you some great ideas. But Fernando, before I jump in, I'm going to be talking about sort of the mental preparation. People always think about the physical, right? You got to swim, bike, run, but the mental is as important or maybe more important. But before we get there, just give us 30 seconds of the highlights of not just Team USA, which you mentioned, you've been part of the team 6 times now, but you do some crazy, crazy things because that requires a lot of mental acuity as well. So tell us some of the crazy things like running across deserts and things like that.
Yeah, actually, thank you for the question. I was collecting how many races I've done. Actually, the number is close to 200. I started 12 years ago, and I've done around 50 Ironmans and 8 times skate from Alcatraz. I ran 100 miles races, mountain biking of all kinds across Portugal, and Team USA 6 times. So I've done a few.
Yeah.
The craziest ones are the extreme triathlons. In fact, I'm going to Norseman, which is the biggest extreme triathlon in Norway in 3 weeks. And I just did the NDS, the Marathon des Sables, which we talked in the previous
Yeah.
interview. Yeah, so I've done a lot of crazy stuff, as we call it.
Yeah. And so, but just for our audience, this mindset that we're going to be talking about is not just for the extreme stuff, but it is really interesting that Fernando's done it. But it's the same thing that applies even to the smaller things, the smaller, maybe it's a 10K race or a half marathon, whatever it is. I realize not everyone that's watching, is going to be doing Ironman like we have, but it's the same principles that are really important. So let's talk about the mental side of all this, Fernando. So we can talk some other time about the physical, and they get some of that already from my other episodes. But talk to us about what does it take mentally to prepare and to do these races, and then how is that same, or is it the same sort of skill that also transfers into the professional workplace?
Yeah, that's I love the question because that's exactly how I operate. And I think it's the mental is probably 80%, if not more, of what I've been able to do. It's not the physical part. And you're right. The same way I apply it on a race, I apply it in my life in general, whether it's professionally or with my family. Actually, this week I have a great example. I had no power. I live in Houston for 5 days, no power yet. And guess what? I kept going. I'm training every day, the same way I've done it, because it's a mindset. And have I done this well? It took me a while. It's repetition, it's setting a goal, setting a destination, dream big, dream about things that you don't think you can do, but you'll be surprised you can. And that's the winning mindset mentality. And you don't necessarily have to win. It's winning for yourself, right? That's the way I take it. I go to a race. Yes, of course, I'm going to try to pass as many people as I can, but the winning in myself is being able to achieve something that others could only dream of, but
Yeah.
making it reality is the goal, is the destination.
Yeah. So Fernando, what about those situations though where you're grinding it out on across the desert in Africa, and it's the weather's horrible, you're hot, you're thirsty, your legs are sore, and in the workplace, big project, frustrating, you're frustrated with maybe internal people, frustrated with a customer, frustrated with a supplier, and you just want to give up. Where does your mind go when you're kind of in one of those situations, and how do you overcome that?
Yeah, what you develop is the skill of what I would call flexibility, right? You're flexible, you're ready, you're always ready. When you race, you have a punch, you have flat or mechanical issue or something happen, and you figure it out. The same at work, right? You have a big project, a big deadline, you miss the deadline, or you don't have the delivery of a part or whatever it may be. Same thing, right? The mentality of being ready, no matter. And I have used that for training, for racing, for my personal life, for work. And you develop it over time, right? And how you do it? Well, I think it's about looking for adversity, test yourself, make it happen, and go beyond that. And again, and again, and again. That's the way it works.
Yeah, and this is so critical too. I know we're going a little bit long on this particular episode, but it's really critical because when I work on, so I do a lot of work in healthcare, and we talk about patient experience, and what really helps the patients the most is if they have what we call resiliency. And so resiliency is that capability, right? You run into obstacles, that mindset you were just referring to, and you keep at it and you overcome. Resiliency is a learned skill. So this I don't mean it to sound like this, but the suffering of multisport helps you learn resiliency, which you can then apply into the workplace and life. And so should something difficult happen to you in life, you have that experience, whether it's a 5K run, right? We're talking extreme, Fernando, with some of the things that you and I do, but even a 5, wherever people are at, a 10K run, a walk, don't give up, right? Just and if you get a blister, to your point, a punch in your tire, whatever, you just figure it out, but you keep going.
Yeah, look, one example I use is I think it's easy to do what is easy. Everybody can do it. One thing I personally do, and people may not know, is that I'm scared of the ocean, of the water. And I have jumped from boats and cold water. I don't escape from microtrials. I'm going to North Spain. And people don't know that. But why do I do it? It's exactly for that reason, is to learn the resilience, to learn the things I'm afraid of, overcome that. And that has been the most powerful tool for me, is doing something I'm almost sure I can't. Of course, I don't want to die, but I will be on the limit. And once I pass that, anything else is possible.
Yeah. I'm telling you, and it wasn't the idea to go here when we started this recording, but it's this resiliency we're talking about, this mental mindset that you develop this. It's going to help you to, and you said it a couple times already, it's going to help you in the workplace. It's going to make you a better executive, teammate. It's going to help you at home, be a better spouse, partner, because these are the same things, right? As with kids, there's always going to be some trauma you did not anticipate. And again, it's that mindset and that resiliency and the ability to overcome and to have that long-term vision and goal. So this is a great conversation, Fernando. Thank you for being our guest, because you're a great example of all these things, taking on your fear, as you mentioned, with the open water. And you just got to do it. And that's how you grow. And that's why people who are frustrated, because I run into this all the time, I know you do too. They're frustrated in life. They're frustrated in sport. They're frustrated at work. And so when I start asking them questions like, what are you doing to push yourself? Try something new. They're not, right? They get comfortable. And so even you who have all these accolades are pushing yourself, jumping into the open water, which is scary as heck. Thank you again, Fernando, for being a guest on my show.
No problem. Thank you. And I'm looking forward for the next one.